I'm Elaina. I'm Frieda Berkowitz's youngest daughter. Today is January 4th, 1988, and we're going to have Frieda Berkowitz talk to us about her life. I think it's going to be a very interesting talk. Good morning, Ma. How you doing?
Good morning. Fine.
You have a good morning?
Very good. Very good.
What'd you have for breakfast?
Ari dear gave me a banana and he made me a tea with cake, and I enjoyed the breakfast so much, seeing my daughter and the two wonderful grandsons, which I love so much.
Ma, we're going to want to know some things about you because we want the children to know and the grandchildren and so on.
Sure,
so
when I'll be in Canasta.
I didn't want to say.
All right.
Where were you born?
In Poland, the Latin.
What was your home like? Do you remember? Your house?
Oh, in Poland?
Yeah.
The most richest, the most beautiful, the most gorgeous. But then the World War broke out.
Well, what did your father do that you were so rich?
He was a mailman in Poland, and he was a strict Orthodox Jew. He couldn't have gotten the job unless he stood without a hat or a yarmulke. He went away in belts to a rabbi, and he said he could get a good job, but he has to stay without a hat. So the rabbi told him to go and have made a toupee, and it will look like he has his hair, and that's how he got the job. They didn't know that it's a toupee, and he had the job.
And it was a good paying job?
A very good paying job. He was the mailman too. He was brilliant without going in school, in education. You know, all over the world where it is. Just like, he went to Hebrew, that's all.
And did your mother work?
No, never. She was from, how do you say a dorp? From a
small town?
Not even a town, about 10 people living. She didn't know how to read and write. Her mother, she was younger from her mother. Her mother had her when she was 15 years old, the mother. And she was from a very poor house. She didn't know how to read and write, her mother neither. And then they moved from that little dorp town to the Latin, where he became a mailman and in a post office
Was
worker.
his family rich?
Who?
Your father's?
All poor.
All poor, so he made money. Your father was the
he
first
made
one.
money.
How many children did they have? And tell us who they were.
They had a daughter, an older daughter. Her name was Rose, and a daughter, Minnie. Those two daughters they brought to America.
We'll get to that later, but in the house lived Rose. Who else?
Rose and Minnie. And I came years later, 8 years later, 9 years.
And then?
And
Irving was there somewhere.
What?
Irvinger, where was he?
He came later than I, till they found him out. There was a world war.
But I'm talking about the house in Dilatin.
Oh, in Dilatin?
Yes.
In Dilatin, I was the youngest of 6 children. I only knew Irvinger, Babtje, Rose, and Minnie. I didn't know, I think a boy and a girl died. I didn't know them, because I was the youngest.
Can you tell me anything about...
It was the most gorgeous home with the gorgeous furniture, with maids and all, and...
do you remember anything about the town, Dilatin? What was it like?
Yeah, it was known for the border. The border's name was the Prit, and salt what they made there, a factory of salt, standing sugar also, standing sugar I remember like that, you know. And
What kind of people? Gentiles, Jews?
and Jewish, Gentile,
Both.
Polish people and Jewish.
Poor?
Everybody very poor.
Okay. Now you keep talking about the war. What happened?
The war broke out, but before the war broke out, because my father was a mailman and a very good-natured man and a big comedian,
What was his name?
Hershbeer, two animals, a horse, you know, and a bear, Hershbeer Leitner,
And her name?
Malka Bly.
Okay. So what happened when the war broke out?
People ran after him when he gave them the mail. Herr Leitner, shall I say the Yiddish?
Yeah, and then say it in English.
Ich hab 8 Mädel, darf Chassene machen a Mädel, ab in sehr Uren. I have 8 girls, and we are very poor, and I have to marry off a girl. Please sign me some money that I should be able to buy something and give the bride and the groom. He signed. And that's how he signed for a lot of people in the city. And he never told it to my mother. He was a very secret person. He didn't tell it to anybody, but he was happy that he did a mitzvah, a good deed. Then they came for money. He didn't have it to pay all those thousands of dollars. So my mother had a brother in America. And
What was his name?
Izzy Bly, you know him. And they wrote him immediately before they put him in prison and me in Hershbeer in prison and Malka. That quick they should send him a ticket to go to America. And anyway, before he got the ticket, he ran away to Vienna. And then she ran away, and they left us children in the house. And right away came the police to look for them, couldn't find them. They took out the furniture, the bedding, the everything, and we remained like that.
They left you alone in the house?
Yeah.
Nobody took care of you?
No.
So what happened to you?
People were happy because the people in the Latin in the city were extremely poor, and we were so rich with maids we couldn't eat, and they said, good.
Serves them right.
Yeah, get back.
So what happened to you when your whole house was destroyed?
Everything was taken out, so we went away to a different city, to my father's relatives, which they were extremely poor. Even a piece of bread or a piece of challah.
Uh-huh.
We were there. Then,
You lived with your grandmother, right?
I
father's
lived
mother?
in a dorm. And I lived with a grandmother when the war broke out, yeah. And I asked her, Baba, I hear você reader. I was 7, 8 years old, and she had a cow. She always hugged that cow. She loved it. She had milk from that cow, and she used to go to the city with the shoes over here to sell a little butter or something. She was very poor. And the people from the town where my grandmother was, they were running, and I asked my grandmother if she will run too, and she said no, she's not leaving the car. So I ran myself with the people, and I was back in the Latin.
Wait 1 second. Tell me about what she looked like.
The grandmother was tall and skinny and beautiful. Beautiful. She looked.
What was her name?
Baba, Cindy.
Okay. And she looked just like who?
She looked like Itzik, like her son looked like other people now. She was tall and I was so short. All she begged me the while I was by her, I shouldn't eat. There was nothing to eat anyway. And even she had a tree of apples or pears. She begged me not to eat, even if it falls down. Her only plea. But then anyway, I left her and I ran.
Okay, you left her because people were coming into the town.
People were running, so I ran too.
Before you tell me what happened next, where was Irvija and Minnie?
Minnie and Babcia were
Oh, Babcia.
already in America. But then it was luck. No more, nobody.
So it was just you and Irvija wasn't with you now, right?
No.
Where was he?
I don't know.
Okay. So the war broke out. Tell me about the Cossacks.
The what?
The Cossacks.
The Kosaken? Oh, the Cossack. The war broke out. I was already in the Latin. And I was in America. And he took me. He had a wife with children. The wife was pregnant right now. He was in America. He ran over, he killed a child. So he had to come back to Poland, me to his house with the wife and the children.
Remember his name?
Also, Itzik was his name. So
Itzik what?
I don't know
Okay,
his second
sure.
name. Itzik, a wife and children. Also, she was pregnant, I know, with a big stomach. And they took money, put it in the rectum and all over. Friday, at the Shabbos, we heard shooting. The Kosaken were on the hills. So the rabbi, the Latina rabbi, called the people which didn't escape, which were, some of them ran away, that we should come to the shul. And we came. He said that the girls should put all kind of things, mud on their face, charcoal and everything. And we're gonna go arcade the Kosaken when they'll come in with the Sefer Torah and with jewelries and with everything. So we went with the Sefer Torah and all the people, and they were very tall people with big,
Big what? Hats.
big hats, and they ran down from those big horses, hitting and kicking and taking away the jewelries, and the rabbi, they pulled the beard, and then they said we should go home to sleep. And so we did go home. It was Friday, everything, chulent was made and all. We went in, like over here was an opening, and it was a basement. And we went there, and they put a table. Came in, they threw the table down, and they searched. Happily, they didn't find those. They only investigated. They broke whatever they were. They went back to sleep. Then the rabbi said everybody should come back to the shul. We went back to the shul. He says we must run away. They'll kill us all. So at night, they have he was a balaguler. He had two horses maybe in a wagon. I was walking with the wife with the children, and everybody was running away. While we were running, we came in, was all that raped girls dead, till we came to a city. It was the border of Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
And all the refugees were there already, crying, my kinder, killed already. Over there was already Hungarian Hungarian genders,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
and I sat on the floor. I was 7, 8 years old. I sat on the floor and I was crying, and they asked me in Hungarian, "Where's your mother?" And I couldn't speak Hungarian. And then they asked me in Yiddish, others. I said, "Ich habe nicht kein Taten und keine Mama, und keine Schwester und kein Bruder.
I
Ich
have
habe
no
nicht keine."
I have no mother, no father, no
No,
sister.
but ich habe tantes.
I have aunts.
And I mentioned the tante's name, Gietje Blai, Ripke Blai, and my mother's brothers. They worked with my father after in the post office. So they went in the wagon, and you know where the horses, and they took me by the hand, and they were hollering, Gietje Blai, Ripke Blai, and all that. They found Gietje Blai with a lot of children, and she thought I was her girl because she lost her girl, and she didn't want to accept. Ich habe ein Mädel, mir verdussen nicht mein Mädel, und ich will mein Mädel.
I have a girl, and this is not my girl, and I want my own girl.
Yeah, anyway, ich habe gesagt, Mimel, nehmt mich, lasst mich heran, ich bin hungrig.
Uh-huh. Let me in, I'm hungry.
Yeah, so somehow she let me in, and when the wagon started to travel, she was killing herself. For was hast du gesagt, mein Name? Ich kann nicht mal, she never found her.
She was angry that you said her name.
Yeah, and then we came till Chateau Uyhel, not urinating, not moving, day and night.
Ma, I thought you had stayed with a number of strange people.
Well, that was, we coming out to Hungary.
Okay.
So when we came to Uyhel, I was already lazy, very lazy.
Lice.
I had things like that. If you opened it up, it came.
Scabs.
Yeah, all lazy from top to bottom, hungry, a skeleton. Everybody, not only me. Nothing to eat, no toilet, no nothing.
Who were you with at this time?
With Gietje and
You
with
was-
her children.
No, I mean when you traveled to Chateaubriand, who were you with?
With that Tante
You're
Gietje.
still with, okay.
All of them.
All of them came. I see.
So, a woman by the name Grunfeld Nene, and Daddy's mother, Frieda Berkowitz, 2 women came with a castle of food, and with bread and challah, and everybody was grabbing.
Uh-huh.
So Gietje Blai said, wer will gewollt herunnehmen a Mädel?
Say it in English. Ma.
Oh, Gietje Blai, the end Gietje Blai asked these people, these women, who would take down a nice little girl, because there you had to speak Hungarian, and they could have her for their own, because she has no father and no mother, nobody. So a woman by the name Dora Grunfeld, she says, ich, and that was Daddy's mother, and that they lived across the street. They took me to Grunfeld Nene in the yacht, and there was already a lot of people and children, but Uyhel didn't leave down refugees. They had to go to Praga. Nobody was allowed, but she sneaked me down. So then he took me in the yacht with a shaver, he shaved my head, all geshaved, and I was very lousy. And the children from Uyhel carried down terrible tetwash that I'm lousy, and they hated Polish people, and they carried on terrible, and I was very miserable. and he right away said to me, Mr. Grunfeld, we took you here for our own little girl, and you'll call me Tata, and you'll call her Mom, and I told him right away, nee, 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 ga nicht treten.
How old were you?
About 7, 8. Then I right away didn't like Mr. Grunfeld, so I wasn't there long, and I says, look, I don't want to stay here in the hell. I want to go where everybody went. I want to go. I'm going to go to the train, and I'll say I'm a refugee, that I'm not allowed to stay here, and I want to go to Praga. And she watched me walking. It was very bad. She was responsible. She took me, but because I was such an action that I don't want to stay, and I don't want to stay, and I want to go. My brother is there. So she let me go, and I went there, and they said, Geld for the train. I says, ich kann nicht, I have no money. So to get back. And I cried, I don't want to go back. I'm gewollt ifgab me for train. Well, anyway, they wouldn't. So I went like on Orchard Street, where was in the city, push carts, and people were shopping. And I sat down and I cried. And women came over to me, everything in Hungarian. Red nicht. Then some women says, was willst du? So
What do you want?
Yeah, so ich will the way Zana a Dienst, I want to be a maid. The way kann nicht gehen heim, kann nicht gehen Taten, kann nicht
I have no home, I have no mother, no father.
And they gave me to a man by the name, a Hungarian man with a beard like that and face, but a very rich man. He lived over the hill, beautiful, all the gray, he had a house with tenants, everybody from like
Yeah.
senators, Georges lived there, you know, and he had a general store, a grocery, and with schnapps, with everything, with candy, with herring, he used to sell. And he was married to
So he's Jewish guy.
but
Strauss was a Jewish man. Oh,
Strauss, yeah.
okay.
He was a very, I was a year and a half there.
A year and a half.
He was very bad.
Mean to you?
Yeah.
How?
Oh, used to murder.
Hit you?
Oh, I did all kind of rotten
Like
things.
what?
Like, first I called him Reuter hit, and I even made up a song.
How?
Pes, psak, tajkut, tak, in Polish. Tajkut, tak, kiss my behind. Yeah. So, he had a bicycle, Moshe, and I used to take Moshe to the Cheder, very far away. And Moshe, they gave along sandwiches. If it wasn't with butter, I ate it all out. And you know, I said, Moshe, he liked me. I said, Moshe, ich chip it the
Say it in English now.
Papa the pegelig. I cut pieces from the bread and I throw it to the babies. He says, no, you're not throwing it to the babies, you're eating it. I
Is he the guy with the wall? Oh, go ahead.
do you mind? He says, I'm very happy. I says, are you going to tell them that? Nein, game owners. He was good to me, mashallah.
Is this the guy with the walnuts, Ma?
Oh, well, that was like that. He used to send me for milk. Far away, pannen, milk, bread. Then he sent me in the bakery. The bakery people knew that I tried to gamble zemmel, rolls. So they gave me already, I was eating like 10 horses.
Uh-huh.
In the Latin, when we were children, we couldn't eat only when we got up through, we couldn't eat nothing.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, he used to send me for bread and rolls, and he used to give me money. Whenever I had change,
Mm-hmm.
I never gave it to him. I got acquainted with some boys, and I used to have already where to buy the candy and the chocolate. I
Mm-hmm.
used to eat it with I shared it like the dead end kids. Had a bunch of boys and girls, and we ate it. When he caught me already that I didn't give him the change then and then, he used to kill me, tear me by the hair, and I was, because I had to, in this grocery, when I came in, whichever he thought I already had something here, even schnapps or herring, anything. Well, he was very bad, very
So
bad.
tell me about the walnuts.
Wait, I'll come to it. He was bad to his wife too. He used to hit her if things didn't come out good, like the cookies or the cake. She was young.
Tell me more about you, though.
Yeah, well, I have to tell by the name because she hated him. And she was, her sister died. And
I need to know more about you.
Yeah. When he murdered me. Every time he sent me out, he said, when they're gonna ask you if I'm good to you, what will you say? Before I answered, krach, krach. So I did like that. When they asked me, how was he to you? And I said, good.
So then what happened?
Groenfelnene, go for bread and for the milk, used to cry, falling to the floor. I should come back to her. She's responsible, and you haven't got it good where you are. But me, you'll be my daughter. I'll give you, I have a house. I love you, you're my child. I didn't want to go back. She used to bring me over. Anyhow, he used to send me into the Rocktar, and there was...
Storage room.
Yeah, storage room. And there was sacks of walnuts. So I made a hole, and it was winter, and I wore his boots, and I put them in the boots, in both boots. Then when I met with the boys and girls, with a stone, we ate the walnuts. And I did it to all the sacks. It was like that already, the kids too. Then he went up, and he saw that. Well, if he didn't kill me that time, I'll never be killed. He threw me to the floor. I deserved it. He stepped on me. He hit me with a strap. He scratched me. He tore my hair. I figured, I don't want to live. This is the finish. That's all. I was sleeping in a room where a woman that was taken off, a gypsy woman. She always knocked on the window where I was sleeping, and she said, Frieda, it was you, that she's there. And she used to show me the house. He let me sleep on a wood. She had no authority, the wife, nothing at all. So I ran out from that door. It was a Wald. Wald is, down was a water, and uphill, animals, you know, people used to go there on Saturday. In a Wald, in a wood, you call it?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And that water. I was there all night, and I didn't have but I was sitting and crying, and I always thought, but I couldn't do it. To throw
So
my...
then what did you do?
Then I walked out from there, and I was sitting, and people were ready to work. It was go back. And they took me in the bakery, and they got together all. It got lighter. They said they're going to Groenfeldmene. I said, ich will nicht gehen zurück.
Why didn't you want to go back?
I was ashamed, and I didn't like him. And so, because and they all made fun from me, the children. that I'm through stones.
These were all Jewish people?
But-
Even the ones making fun of you were Jewish people?
Yeah,
It's all
they
Jewish
hated
community.
from where I came
Okay.
that they're lousy. Even if I wouldn't have been in the train, they called lousy, bitter,
Right.
like the Goyim.
So did they put you with her or what?
So, no. So I took Kasha. I want to go, go in school there. And they couldn't do it to send me there, either to Grunfeldnene or to somebody else in a good place. And Grunfeldnene found out and she came running. And Beverly, Cynthia and Barbara knew Grunfeldnene. She lived on the east side. She knew Grunfeldnene.
Were you a funny kid at this time? Did you used to make people laugh?
Yeah, very, very. And sang, and they used to give me, they made beer, and they always called me in and gave me a bottle of beer to drink, a bottle of beer. I was very laughing, very singing songs in Hungarian. Anyway, Grunfeldnene cried, and Grunfeldnene, and I was there all the years, and she was better than any mother in the world. She was the best in the world. She and me with such a great love. She used to, if she went away in a different city, she brought me a ball to play balls, a doll.
She had only sons?
She had only sons, but when after she had a girl, Chaya. You remember Chaya?
No.
Well, your sisters knew Chaya very well. Chaya died now of cancer.
So you were raised like sisters with these?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then there was going, you know.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. So I was by her the rest of the years. That means about 7 years, 8.
Did you feel she was like a mother, or you always wanted your
I
own?
felt that she was better than her mother, the best son. She was a woman.
And him?
He was good.
Is that
He was
right?
a very sick man. He had the epilepsy.
So during this time, you...
Across the street.
Okay.
I was always with Ruthie, Molly, and Adel, and Bobby. Bobby always wanted to see if I have already Wachschun. She used to...
Tits.
I used to like to go to their house and look out through the window. You understand? They lived with, the windows were all to the front. So I used to like to, but of course I knew.
And did you play with him? Did he like you or what?
Yeah. No, Daddy hated me. He used to murder me.
Why?
The girls were in love with him.
Why?
He hated me.
Was he good looking?
Oh, was he good looking. You hear? I used to hit Ruthie. Ruthie was a crybaby, so I used to hit her.
Name his sisters. The oldest?
Molly.
Let's name his whole family. First he had a brother.
All the children?
Yes.
Well, Chaim, Max, Srul, Molly, Ruthie, Adel, 6 children. Oh, they were poor. Yeah. She was left, he was years sick, and he always wanted...
The father.
And a Talmud Chochem wouldn't take a picture those years. There's no picture.
And he was gorgeous.
Shana with Daddy, and Daddy...
Better looking than Daddy.
Oh, yes. Listen, not maybe 6 years ago, he went to say Kaddish. Yeah, and a Hungarian man with a board and paste called him over. He says, aren't you a Berkowitz from Shatter Uyel? He says, yes. So I went with your father in yeshiva, and I recognized you as my best friend. Your father was the handsomest man in the world and the greatest Talmud Chochem man, the father. Never given a picture of him.
So you were friends with the family. The girls liked you?
Sure, yeah.
Didn't?
Well, first of all, he was very handsome. Then he only came over to hit me when Ruthie.
Why? Because of Ruthie?
I hit Ruthie. or I spit on her, or I made fun from her, she always cried. So when your Marlin, I couldn't hit you, but take my head off. Adel didn't bother with me. She had aristocratic, the best friends from the city. She didn't mingle with everybody. But Marlin and oh, once not only he hit me, he peed in bottom. But wait, he had an uncle. He had an uncle that was, you know, Brugge de Grine? Their uncle was Brugge de Grine's grandfather. He loved me very much. He was an aristocrat, you say. He used to in the cafeteria where there was a Schwarzer that was unusual. It was the greatest cafeteria. He used to read the Berze, the stock market. I used to come there to sell a liver in that hotel. See, they used to stuff gooses. They couldn't eat no more them, but not all Jewish people ate the liver or the goose because it wasn't a Galiciano, Russian, wouldn't eat it. So I used to sell the liver there. And Trotnabachi, his name was Trotnabachi, they called the uncle, saw me. So Frieda.
Say it in English, Mark.
Frieda, I love you very much. Someday you're gonna, what was it, his nephew? He always told Daddy, she'll be your wife, and he used to spit. He used to spit.
What did he do in those days, Daddy?
Attending to the children, learning more to sing, and with a horse and wagon with milk, selling milk to customers. That's all.
He raised the children with.
He used to warm up milk and put in challah, infants even. That's how he fed them.
What happened? You lived with Greenfeld Naney for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, she had a grocery, and I stood in the grocery selling. She was away many times. Her husband was very sick. He was in Albania. He got the epileptic sickness, and she was a.
So by now you're like 16 years old?
No. When they found me out, I was 15.
How'd they find you?
They wrote. My mother had a brother. He was very good in riding. He's dead now. I knew him well. She made every city, to Uyhel, to Kasho, to here, to the rabbis in the city. If there is a girl from the Latin, in Uyhel, there was our big rabbi that we were with him, and his son is Uyhel with the wife, a young son, a wife. He got the letter. And I was standing in the grocery, and he came in. Oh, the America letter. She fainted, Grandpa. Here I didn't have it good in America. I always wanted to go back to her. I had it very, very bad. With a sick sister, physically and mentally. There was.
How did you get back over here? You came by boat?
Oh, so I couldn't come to myself to America because I was young. So I had to get somebody, a begleiter, to take care of me because I was underage.
A chaperone?
Yeah, so I offered, she was killing herself, Grünfeld Naney. Sie hat sich gebrochen, die Hände, sie hat geweint, sie hat geklugt. So, Grünfeld Naney, I'll take you along. You'll come to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia.
You brought her?
No.
Okay, so?
An uncle, her father's brother, but I gave him plenty money too.
So you got on the boat with this guy?
Yeah, Rottenberg. He was 19 years.
19 years old?
He was 19 or 20, and he fell in a girl of Schönheit that always looked out through the window. They never let her out. She fell in love with him. When I last a filthy, very big story how I got him. He came with me, and then in Ellis Island he ran away. He left me flat.
Why? Well, tell me about the boat trip. Was there anything you remember about the boat trip over?
On the boat we came weeks. It wasn't the boat that I
What was the name of the boat?
Manchuria. It wasn't the boat that I was supposed to come with Lapland, Manchuria, Italian boat. I was extremely, extremely sick. No, not only that. We came to Antwerpen.
Antwerp.
In Antwerpen we were weeks because we didn't have no. So he wanted to sleep with me in one bed. He says, Frieda, together. I say, I'm not going to sleep with that jingle. I'm not going to sleep with, and I didn't know anything about sex, but I knew our joy. He said, I'm not going to harm you, I'm not going to touch you. Anyway, he was in bed and I was sitting all night. He was very happy. Sandra knew him.
Was it a bad boat trip?
Yeah.
You were sick?
Extremely sick. Extreme thing day and night. Very sick. Dishes were breaking like crazy.
So then you got to America, do you remember the date or the year? Who was there to meet you?
My father and mother, I 100% didn't know them.
I meant to ask you, what year were you born?
1905.
Okay. So your parents were there. Did they recognize you?
They came first with a little boat. And I saw them. They said, Freitje, Freitje. I was long in Ellis Island too. I didn't know them and they didn't know me.
15 when you came?
15 and a half.
Okay, then it wasn't 1923.
Then
Okay,
1921,
whatever.
22.
All right. So they recognized you?
No.
So how did you find each other?
Well, first of all, not my father, my mother was breaking her hands and crying her hair that I'm not her daughter. I sent a 3/4 picture and I looked very tall and she wanted a tall daughter and fat. So, and she couldn't, women can.
Right. That's what she asked you.
Yeah. So
Say it in English, man.
I didn't see nobody from Delatin. I was living in Hungarian by a very good woman. I enjoyed life there, and I speak fluently Hungarian, and I had it good. I didn't think I'll come to America. Never. I already knew. I'll tell you how. She kept on hoping that I'm not Frieda Freitje. But then she asked me this, as when we come home, I'll smear you butter and bread. I says, I don't need that. She says, that's it. Schon Stücken questions.
What does that mean?
Yeah. But till then she asked a lot. And when
So she believed you then?
Yeah. She told me I shouldn't get up when people come. I was so sure. And then home was very bad.
Was there with you all this time?
In Prague.
What was he doing?
He didn't do nothing. He didn't like to work.
Did he go to school?
He had good education. He learned himself day and night.
I thought that there was a situation where you met him on a train.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Europe for a minute. What happened?
So he was in Nihel by in a place where they sell schnapps, like a restaurant like. And he had to serve there and work. He never wanted to work. He only wanted education. So he claimed, he came to Grunfeldmene, bread, he nearly ate up that whole bread. They needed it for weeks. So the next time when he came, they only gave him about 2 slices. Anyway, he wasn't a person that he wanted to work, only they should serve him. I was young. So then he ran away someplace.
I think so. You didn't meet him on a train.
As a flüchtling?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Okay. Okay.
But he was in Nihal, he was.
Okay. All right. So you're in America. They just brought you to your home. Who is living in the home?
My mother worked.
Is it an apartment or a house?
No. She explained me so that they had a woman loaned her the dress, and she's very, very poor. She wasn't poor, she had a lot of money.
She lied.
Lied, so verlaten. She wanted the money to give her back what she gave me for a ship's card, and the man was supposed to give me back Rothenburg. He did wrong things from him too. I took away his shuttle with the clothes. I let him knock it to California. And I think we did with the clothes after. I thought it was Europe. We threw it in the cellar, got rotten down. But he told Sandra, we were visiting him. He said now, he, brilliant over brilliant. He was...
Okay, but let's talk...
He California. Sandra knows him well. Became senile completely. She is in a home.
So your mother told you everything was borrowed, she's very poor.
Yeah, and she went to work.
A house or an apartment?
Nobody lives in a yacht. It would be a direct nothing. She lived in a yacht and she was a superintendent. And she had a lot of borders, Srul, Mendel, tremendous borders.
Srul, Daddy's brother?
No,
oh, different.
No.
Okay.
Reuter sold him the cigarettes.
Okay. So she had borders.
Yeah.
Do you remember where this place was?
Yeah.
Where?
97 Maserow Street.
And did she work otherwise?
She worked day and night, even Saturday night after got to room. She went to work.
And you like her?
It's a lot to talk. It's a tragedy.
She was smart.
A very smart woman. Very smart. She knew how to daven like a rabbi. Never went a day in cheder, only what she heard.
And your father?
He was a very good-natured man. He had no power of nothing.
Funny?
She was, yeah. Everything was jokes, everything. And Macintosh apples, he called it Tashmak. I used to buy my own fruit, the dearest, and I used to eat up so much apples and all. Everybody paid for this and the hat, and he had his eye closed and used to say, ah. He was afraid for a cat, so my mother...
Did they get along?
Yeah, of existing on the world. She called him always Umsetzer. You know what's Umsetzer? Somebody that failed, took away all the monies.
A flop.
He would have been in prison.
What did they do with you?
Where?
When you came, what did they do with you?
Everybody raining. So I found them closed. So I tried to throw down the clothespins. So they hollered from the window that I shouldn't do that. You know, I didn't know that you take it. At night came a man. His name was Kramer, Sylvia knows him. And he said, I heard that a green girl came and I need urgently. The next day I worked already in the shop. And
so you were working almost from the beginning?
The next day he came.
Mm-hmm.
So I slept.
Mm-hmm.
I slept up a Nipstel battle, you know, and he was all night letters to a girl in Galician that he loved and couldn't sleep with him. A bitter stroke.
So you worked in the shops?
Yeah, a couple blocks away, all the years. And then grew to an American boy, worked and wanted to get out from the house. So I was engaged to him. Jaime Kraus, his name was. He gave me a diamond ring. By the way, he was a Michiganer. Movies, he said, if I looked at somebody, he said already I had a affair with him. He was Michiganer. Then I wanted to give him back the ring. We couldn't agree for a minute, so my mother didn't let. Then Grunfeld came and he stayed the month. I want to put you over which, so I have to travel to Yale. So yes, he will be a millionaire, he's handsome. So I liked him not when I was in Europe. Such a handsome fella. He used to hit me, he hated me. So anyway, was that time very nice looking. Plenty dresses. I had a permanent wave. Always took those years, permanent waves. And I went to Europe. And I went back to Yale.
Okay, we're going to continue now talking about the way. So you got married in